Welcome to Cinema from Mars, your source for weird and wonderful cinema. It's Criterion sale time, and every Criterion sale, the same titles dominate the conversation. The Kurosawas, the Wes Andersons, the David Lynches. And while those films absolutely deserve your attention, the real magic of the Criterion Collection is discovery. Finding the movie you've never heard of, scrolling through the webpage, taking a chance on a blind buy, and have it become your new favorite movie. So today we're skipping the obvious, and we're talking about 10 Criterion deep cuts that deserve your spot in your collection and everyone should grab. Let's get into it. First up, we have Takeout by SeanBaker. This came out in 2004. It was added to the Criterion Collection as spine number 1149. Takeout, made by SeanBaker and his co-writer Ching Zhao, who produced a few of his movies. Years before Baker became a big hit with independent films, before The Florida Project and Red Rocket, Tangerine, and obviously Nora, which won Best Picture last year. This was SeanBaker making movies with absolutely no money, but with unlimited heart. The film focus is on an undocumented Chinese delivery driver trying to earn money in a single day to pay off dangerous debt collectors. That's it. That's the movie. And somehow it becomes absolutely gripping. Every tip matters. Every unanswered door creates tension. Every minute counts. It's shot in New York. Sort of a documentary style approach. It captures a version of New York that, Hollywood doesn't really show. This is raw filmmaking at its best. It feels like an American version of something like The Bicycle Thieves. If you love human stories, if you love kind of social realism, this is a perfect SeanBaker movie. It's his second film, and I think it's essential viewing. This is a really hidden gem of the Criterion Collection. If you like Nora, Red Rocket, Tangerine, this is a good one to check out. You can really see his style. So that is Takeout. Next up, we have I Want to Hold Your Hand. This was released in 1978. Arriving in Criterion Collection, this is spine number 967. This was Robert Zemeckis before he was the Robert Zemeckis that everyone knows. Before Back to the Future, before Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Forrest Gump, Castaway. This was his feature debut. If someone told me that Robert Zemeckis did a Beatles movie years ago, I wouldn't have believed them. But man, this is one of those perfect movies for the Criterion Collection to expose yourself to something. This was set during the Beatles' first visit to America. The film follows a group of teenagers trying to meet the Beatles. The brilliant part, the Beatles are hardly in the movie. It kind of explores Beatlemania through the eyes of the cast. It's funny, it's energetic, it's nostalgia, and sometimes manages to purposely, it like recreates the Ed Sullivan Show and the feeling of Beatles mania at the time. If you ever waited in line for concert tickets, chase down an autograph, or try to find a personality, this film gets to you. I think it's kind of a very American Graffiti-esque flavor to it, but obviously music skewed. So this is a really good Robert Zemeckis movie. You can really see him and what he might become. So I Want to Hold Your Hand. That is next up. And then next up we have another one that music related. We have Original Cast Album Company 1970. This is by number 1090. This might be out of the 10. Trust me, you should just give this a shot. Released in 1970. It's directed by DAPennebaker, and it follows a single night of the cast of the Broadway show The Company recording their cast album. That might seem boring to a lot of people, but it is absolutely riveting. Watching the cast try to make it perfect, doing this marathon session, and they're just getting exhausted. They keep repeating the song over and over again, and you kind of hear it, and you're like, all right, I think they nailed it, but somehow it's not good enough. Pennebaker did Don't Look Now. He did Monterey Pop. Just a really amazing documentary in the music field. And watching Stephen Sondheim's Broadway play, which I knew nothing about, makes me really appreciate the artists on Broadway and the just the whole process of putting one of these cast albums together. This is really one of my favorite Criterion documentaries. It's pretty short. I think it's only about 65 minutes, and it's really worth the watch. There's some great special features on here. The documentary Now spoof series does a good version on here, and there's a feature on here. So that is the original cast album company. Next up, we're going overseas, and we're going to talk about Le Silence de la Mar, which is Criterion Spine 1014. It was released in 1949, and it's the feature debut of JeanPierreMelville, same filmmaker that made greats like Le Samurai, Army of Shadows, Le Cercle Rouge. Premise is, during the German occupation of France, a French family is forced to house a German officer, a Nazi. The response is just being silent. That's the battle. There's no arguments, no shouting, no violence, just silence. Just a family living with the enemy, essentially. Melville creates a lot of tension in this movie, you know, and there's a lot of tension without any dialogue. It's very quiet. It's very interesting. I really, really liked it, especially if you liked Melville's other work. I know a lot of people have been picking up Le Samurai on 4K, which you should. But this is a great early work, and a really just interesting premise for a movie, and something I had not seen. So Le Silence de la Mar, perfect pick to pick up. Next up, we have one of my favorite film noir movies, if not my favorite, Kiss Me Deadly, 1959. This is spy number 568. Kiss Me Deadly feels like a film, you know, film noir having a nervous breakdown. This is 1958, so the genre's been around for a little while, and it just feels like the transition into, you know, Soviet paranoia and 60s sci-fi, and that's what makes this movie so great. It's pulpy, it's weird, it does some cool camera things that the genre didn't really do. It's directed by RobertAldrich, who did Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. If you've ever seen that, it's a kind of crazy movie. He also did like The Dirty Dozen and Flight of the Phoenix. It starts as a classic noir, and then it just starts going into this weirder science fiction, horror, paranoia thing. The influence on so many filmmakers, Pulp Fiction, Repo Man, other like kind of conspiracy thrillers, all comes from Kiss Me Deadly. An amazing performance in this. It's super unforgettable, and it's one of those film noirs. I know a lot of people pick up some of the heavy hitters, but this one, don't space on this one. This one's wonderful. Kiss Me Deadly. Next up, another one of my favorite type of genres is this kind of you know, romance between a couple people and doing, you know, dirty deeds and such, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is 1970s, The Honeymoon Killers. This is the Criterion, actually an early one. Actually, 2,500 is the spine number on this one. It's based on a real-life story of the Lonely Hearts murders. The film tells the story of a couple whose romance, you know, before widowing before robbing and murdering them, it's true crime. Maybe I'm not explaining it well. It's sort of a romance. It's horror. It's got some dark comedy. Sometimes it's all at once. It's two people, kind of Bonnie and Clyde, Badlands. There's an old gangster movie, Gun Crazy. But it also has a little bit of like a serial killer thing, like maybe Henry the Portrait of a Serial Killer, or like In Cold Blood. It's based on true crime. You know, it's a Hollywood version of it. But what's really neat about this is the only movie by the director. It's the only one he did, Leonard Castle, and it's got this handmade quality that I really like. Criterion also put out a movie last year, I have not watched it yet, called Deep Crimson, which is supposedly a remake of this. So maybe a good double feature. Honeymoon Killers, Deep Crimson, go for it. Next up, we have a silent movie from 1922, Haxan, which is a very, very interesting movie. This is released as a very early Criterion number. They had it on DVD. This is spine number 134. You know, it's almost 100 years old, and it still feels completely ahead of its time. Benjamin Christina, it's part documentary, part horror movie, part fever dream. It explores the history of witchcraft and superstition throughout Europe. Has demons, it has torture devices, it has possession, medical paranoia. Imagery is awesome in this. Maybe even still shocking 100 years later. Experimental horror movie from 1922. I mean, unbelievable. Very, very cool. I felt it was very, very watchable. Really unique and really just a great pickup. I mean, if you're curious about how silent cinema, a lot of people don't like it, maybe feels a little boring to them. There's still these movies that come out early on and you're like, wow, they really were trying to propel film in a different way, or they were trying to use the visual medium for something more than maybe like a Charlie Chaplin kind of slapstick kind of thing. So Haxan, a very, very fun movie, a great disc and beautiful artwork. If you like early horror stuff, highly recommend Haxan. Next up, we're going to continue in the horror fame, and we're going with 1988's The Vanishing. This is the original movie. They did a remake, an American remake by the same director. This is another one of those early spines. This is 133. And this movie over the years has kind of gained a reputation to being one of the most disturbing thrillers ever made. I might agree. I think this is kind of a boring cover in a sense than what we normally have for Criterion, but I also kind of like it as well after seeing the movie. So what the premise is a woman and her husband are at a restaurant, and they kind of get separated, and she just disappears. And the boyfriend spends years trying to discover what happened. That's all it is. Don't watch any trailers. Don't read any summaries. Don't Google the ending or anything like that. It's just an awesome premise. Like, this could happen to anybody. You got split up in a rest stop. Someone just goes away, and you have no answer for that. And then what happens in this? It's really fantastic. I recommend the original one. I had watched the American one. It's not as good. This one is really worth watching. Go in blind. Thank me later. The Vanishing, 1988. All right, next up we have Shock Corridor, 1963. This is another early spine, spine number 19. This was one of the founding, 19th Criterion Collection from the DVD on. SamuelFuller directs it. We all know SamuelFuller from Big Red One, Naked Kiss, and one of my favorite noir movies, The Pickup from South Street, which is also on the Criterion. What this is about, it's about a journalist that pretends to go mentally ill to investigate a murder inside an asylum. The deeper he goes, the more unstable he becomes. SamuelFuller attacks kind of racism and war trauma and conformity and American paranoia. Subtlety wasn't SamuelFuller's thing, so he definitely lays it all out. The movie feels dangerous. It really just, an easy watch, and it really is a treat. I think it really holds up well today, and it's got a beautiful collection with beautiful artwork all throughout. I really, really like Shock Corridor, and I highly recommend you picking it up. And last but not least, we got one that was pretty early, or one that came out pretty recently, and this one is Return to Reason, the 4 films by Man Ray, another silent film. This is in the collection in 1291 is the spine. And this is short films that were created from in 1923 to 1929. 100-year-old short films. This is pure experimental filmmaking. Images overlap, narrations disappear, logic becomes optional. It kind of has the DNA of an early David Lynch movie, and I found it fascinating. The music is by Jim Jarmusch and his band, and it's really cool. It feels modern, it feels, unique, and I was fascinated with all 6 of these. All 4 of these films that are in here. Not every viewer is going to enjoy this. and connect with it, but I really, really did. I think it was awesome. Any Lynch fan should pick this one up. And I really liked that Criterion put out something so beautiful, preserved, and thought-provoking. And like I said with Haxton earlier, it's just amazing to see 100-year-old movies just be kind of cool and hip, you know. And it's movies, you know, editions like this that bring them to light. So this is Return to Reason, the 4 short films by Man Ray, and I really recommend you picking it up. Right, so that was 10 overlooked movies that you should buy during the Criterion sale this month. I think these are 10 great movies, totally worth blind buying and making them your new favorite. I got a little bit of silent, a little bit of horror, a little bit of, you know, noir in there, a Robert Zemeckis film in there. You remember, Criterion isn't about just buying the canon, buying stuff you've seen. To me, it's all about the blind buy and the risk. There's so many movies I have back here I've never saw before, and I just absolutely had a great time with them and learning about them, exploring them. Remember to like and subscribe my channel. If there's any great movies that you're picking up this month, please comment below. I got a couple videos here talking about some other recommendations that I have for Criterion. But until next time, thank you for watching, and keep spinning those discs.